I have recorded this previously when I was trying to help a person who was in severe emotional distress, and I am now sharing it with you. Listen carefully. To me, affirmations like every sinner has a future and every saint has a past. You cannot get life wrong because you cannot get life right. This is by Swan, by the way. As well as you are never alone. Like, whatever you do, you're probably not the only one who has ever done this, because there are just like so many people. You can only regret mistakes retrospectively, so it's like a fact that when you do something in the moment, you obviously want to do your best, and we are all like that. We just lack sometimes the awareness that is necessary for us to make the actual best step. So compassion, really just being compassionate with yourself, not necessarily forgiving, but because Teal says that forgiving is like a result of a process of understanding. So really understanding yourself deeply instead of like forcing yourself to forgive to you or anyone else, because like that's like quite the opposite of the whole point, which is like establishing compassion, but also being compassionate towards others. Because like when you do something that's kind of like a negative negativity induced action, or you have some form of turmoil in your soul, or something that makes you do things that you regret later, you also have to take into account that sometimes your emotions are the reason, and your emotions, like they are like people don't see your emotions, right? They just feel them, so they sometimes only react because they're only human. So this is not to say that you know they could not act better sometimes themselves and like be less reactive, but you have to see that they are only human. So whether or not they recognize that you have emotions that you know are there for whatever reason, you kind of just want to accept that sometimes people just don't get you no matter what happens, and that makes you reactive, or maybe you were already triggered, right? So maybe you're like when you've been gaslighted a lot in like early childhood or childhood, which most of us have, I guess. So you kind of become like used to that, and like you kind of like get used to being a defensive, and that people feel and that people react to only. So that makes you reactive as a result, right? And that's what I mean when I say negativity induced actions, like when you react instead of just respond, and then you regret your actions. Like I have had done so many things that I regret retrospectively, and also failure. What is failure? I have heard Elon Musk say, like, what is failure, right? He always says that it's like a stepping stone, a learning experience. Also, I follow another YouTuber. I'm just saying names here. I don't want to name drop or anything, but I'm just saying names here because I really want you to get like a good, you know, set of source, like a good set of resources, so you can kind of just do your own research. I also follow um, the woman whose video I will share in this group, which is kind of exactly what you need. Um, and yeah, I mean, if you want to talk to me in person, we're already chatting, so you can reach out to me. Um, but yeah, this is like in a nutshell. So affirmations really help me because they kind of ground me in the moment, and breathing techniques and like just deep breathing, focusing on preventing anything that may trigger me or may trigger the other person. So like appearing nice, doing these things it really does help. They really do help. So yeah, like compassion. If I was to use one word, which is like the solution, I would say compassion. Like this is literally the only way. Compassion both prevents and it resolves. But I'm not saying it's like it can be forced, because I'm like Teal. I don't believe that anything can be forced at the end of the day, except like discipline. That discipline kind of implies in and of itself that it's like a forced action, which but if discipline is like a positive thing, right? So so you don't, forgiveness is a different thing. Forgiveness is not like, it's not good when it's forced. I don't think it's like it pays off when you force forgiveness or compassion, but discipline is a different thing because it only has to do with you, right? So it's like, yeah. So by the way, another quote, or should I say affirmation that has helped me is also by the woman whose video I will link in here directly, even if it's name dropping, or like I guess this is a useful resource, so this is why I'm sharing it. After all, we're not after being proper here, right? I guess. So the affirmation is, or the citation goes, what is worse than being talked about behind your back? It's not being talked about. Like, that's profound, especially for me, because how this relates to your question and your experiences through the story which I'm about to tell you. So I got into Teal's videos at a young age. I kind of became an introvert at like the age of 10 to 12 because I've gone through extreme trauma myself as a child. I guess I'm not alone in this. Like most of us get traumatized as children. I guess it's pretty normal actually, because like adults kind of like raise children without being perfect. But I got like attachment trauma, so um, I was like, at some point I used affirmations. I remember the first time I used affirmations, I used them to actually raise the white flag, so that people don't, treat me with like such emotion anymore. Like it was so ridiculous. Like I got my glasses at that age so that I could like project an image, which I'm not. I got myself to be an introvert. I used affirmations to, oh my god, like it was so such a change. Like I remember I wrote affirmations on my wall. I know this may sound silly, but I did that because I got like so deeply into feeling powerless. So, um, retrospectively, I recognize that I still have a choice today. So now I'm like swinging the pendulum kind of, but like not in a negative way. I've kind of like already figured it out because as like a very young child from the age of like birth to um 9/10, I was an extrovert. I was extremely social. I was like kind of like Teal, like she's like this kind of extreme person that kind of just once she's in, she's all in. So I was that kind of person. And never have I really changed, but socially speaking, I changed at the age of 11. So when I heard this quote, what's worse than being talked about behind your back? It's not being talked about. It was like a few months ago when I heard that quote online by this from this woman. I was like, she's so right. Like, no matter what I've been through, I can really start living today. I can really start doing the things that I love today. I can really focus on my joy. I can really be disciplined. I can really stop caring. I can really, you know, just experiment with life because at the end of the day, you cannot get life right or wrong because it's, all meant to be. So yeah, I just wanted to let you know that I think when I was 11, I did make a mistake, but retrospectively, I recognize that as a regret, but or I associate that with it being a regret, but it's at the time I did what was best for me. So now I'm like, you know, I only have compassion to share with me or anyone else. Like I must vibrate on the level of love if I want to get love. So that's what I'm doing cuz like when Teal says be the change you want to see in the world, I'm like that gives me power. That gives me power and that gives me more power than if I was to keep being hard on me and the world, like on myself. Because like I cannot be hard anymore. And I'm sure I'm not alone in this, and that's why you're where you are emotionally in the first place, I guess, because like you have to find like your like a common ground between you and the people in your life around you, because that's boundaries. You must have boundaries. But another great resource is Anna Bay. I follow her. She's a female leader. She's really such a good feminist, but in like the best way possible. Um, yeah, she's very high level on awareness too, but she's less into like the more profound things like Teal Swan. So I can recommend her too. But again, like if you want to meet a person or like phone, you can call me because like we're already chatting. But but it's like just know that you are never alone and that you really do deserve connection and the quality kind, because we all do. So it's all about work at the end of the day. So yeah, that's it. Oh, and one last thing, trust me, I know from experience. some connection sometimes is really better than no connection, even if it's like, you know, expansive, because it takes your presence and self-awareness to just be in that space with another person. So, in other words, even if it's hard, or even if it feels, kind of triggering, it's still worth it at the end of the day, because being social really, really, if it doesn't help you with growth, then it's still like a good source of like just grounding yourself when you're with the right people. So, yeah. In my personal opinion, you don't recognize how much you need human connection until you get it, or you initiate it, and then you're alone again. Like, you have to kind of like feel the difference, because like it's crazy how true it is that it's not normal for a human to be alone. So you're not, not crazy for feeling the way you feel. At the end of the day, that's it.